What's up, everybody? So Hardy Construction. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or most likely YouTube, where you can like us and share our stupidity with your host, Komp and
Dennis Hornman.
as well as
Bucket Son.
from horrorharbor.terminal.com. Today's film is
We Are What We Are, 2013 American remake.
and also...
Oh, what? Also?
No, I'm just kidding. So,
It's like,
We Are What We Are, 2010, directed by Jim Mickle, starring Nick Demichi and... Oh, no, that's the wrong people. Bill Sage, Amber Childs, Julia Garner.
What are you looking at?
I was looking at the wrong page. The Parkers, a reclusive family who follow ancient customs, find their secret existence threatened as a torrential downpour moves into their area, forcing daughters Iris and Rose to assume responsibilities beyond those of a typical family. So, Danny, why did you pick
It
We Are
seemed
What
pretty
We
typical
Are?
to me. I really related to this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you pick We Are What We Are?
Because I've always heard of it, and it used to be on Netflix, and I never watched it.
It's on Tubi, which is a free thing, so you can actually watch it on there too. The funny
Tubi?
thing is, when you Tubi is like a free, basically a television station that you can look online. You can put it on your apps for your
I never knew that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's Tubi, and then there's also Pluto TV. They actually have a lot of good. They have horror channels and stuff like that.
Oh shit!
But yeah, they do. That's actually really. They have an anime channel where they just show subtitle anime. So they're showing like a bunch of cool stuff. But it was funny. I had heard about this film, and Danny, I realized when we were talking about this movie, I had heard about this movie a long time ago. I had read rave reviews, not of this one, but of the original version, which was from another country, and that is why I ended up picking up that other film, We Are the Flesh, by mistake, because I thought it was this film,
Okay.
which was an insane Mexican.
Was that the? Oh, that one was amazing. Actually,
It was. Yeah.
Was it
great.
good?
Yo, that was
was
an
real-
amazing,
it
amazing
is-
movie. But you know what, Thea? There
it
is
is fucked
definitely
up.
a lot of weird
Of
sexual.
There's none
course
of that.
there is.
There's none of that in there. It's
There kinda is.
consensual. It's
What's it
consensual.
Sort of, yeah.
We Are the Flesh. So I was wondering, because there's obviously this one and then there's the original one, and I was like, Danny, why don't we watch?
I wanted to do the
one? And
original
Danny,
first, but I read such good reviews about this.
Let me just tell this. But then Danny would say no, and I'm like, why, Danny, why? And then he was like, no, and then I said why, and Danny would start saying, build the wall, because it was Mexican, and I was like, Danny,
It's
that's
true.
I mean, he says that anyway.
It's true.
terrible.
Regardless of what you're talking
I mean,
Anyway.
it's kind of a tick, though. I can't help it.
I wish we could have reviewed both films. I will, because we won't speak about the original film.
Well, Thea, you've seen it. Have you seen it?
I did see the original a long time ago.
I am just about 20 minutes shy to the ending of the original film, and that puts such a bad taste in my mouth for this film that we're about to review. So
Okay.
let's get into We Are What We Are.
Interesting.
So, Danny, what is this film about?
It's about what we are.
That's clever.
Wow.
It's about a super religious, crazy man with a family history of super religious, crazy cannibal people.
Yeah.
And that's about it, pretty much. He eats a doctor's daughter, and he finds out. That's the whole movie.
Always a pleasure to hear Danny's comments of the movie. When you try to have him explain something, it turns something else. So this film, obviously a remake of the original Mexican film.
No.
And boy, oh boy, it sort of came and went.
Imagine it was just a coincidence that it had the same name and plot.
Hey, there is, what is it, Armageddon and Deep Impact. Those kind of things.
Are they the same? I never
No, they're
seen
both
Deep
about
Impact.
killer asteroid films. Anyway, Jim Mickle is a director who has a lot of cult films. Very, very famous cult films.
Like cult
Yeah,
as in
famous
about
cult
cults
I've
or
seen
like
Stakeland.
followings?
No, a lot of it, like a handful of his films are very well known. I guess he only has 4 or 5 films, really. Maybe 3 films. But he also wrote for a show called Happen Lettered, which people enjoyed. But he's really well known for his film Stakeland, which I haven't seen, and I always mix it up with that other vampire movie that it had. I think it had Ethan Hawke in it. Ethan Hawke and
Daybreakers? No.
I think it was Daybreakers.
I
Right?
think they
saw
came
that
out
in
the same year,
theaters.
didn't they?
Yeah, isn't there something new that just came out called Daybreakers?
No,
that's that Netflix show.
Daybreak, not Daybreaker.
Anyway, so he did also Cold in July, which has a great trailer, which is sort of a pulpy revenge movie. And then he just did In the Shadow of the Moon, which came out on Netflix, which is a quasi science fiction horror film. And there's something about just seeing this, and I've never seen Stakeland, but I can see that he has an issue with a lot of style over substance.
Right.
And I guess we'll get into that with this film, just because I just was finishing up. I'm like literally 20 minutes to the ending of the original one.
Yeah.
And it really, like...
It's a lot better?
So much... What I don't understand is that the original film is only an hour and 30 minutes, and they got in so much more material than an hour and 45 of this.
It feels like more happens in that movie.
Yeah, this movie is basically nothing until the last 15 minutes.
We really can't compare it, so I don't want to do that. So let's do. I really think we should do that.
I'm gonna watch the other one. I was planning on it anyway, but I had read that this was actually a really good,
like, comparable.
Well, I read that even the director of the original loved this, so I don't know. I assumed...
How much money did they pay him? Because that's fucking bullshit. Anyway,
I think it was an interesting take.
Okay.
Okay. So what we're looking at is two separate things. This is probably the last comparison we should do until we do that other episode.
Okay.
Can we compare it to Harry Potter?
We're gonna make Alex really mad.
There's a comparison of poverty in Mexico and poverty in America, and that's probably the only running thread between both films, and they take them in two completely different ways because there's religious aspects in both, but in two opposite directions. So this film they both deal with rituals, which I'm getting to in the Mexican version, but in this one, what is the ritual in this film?
Devouring people.
It's a yearly thing, right? It only happens once a year, I believe.
Yes.
Because the film starts out with the matriarch of the family at a, I guess, goods store, and she's picking up, material that we think is probably like...
What's it called, like Kulu disease or something? Like...
Yeah, I'm going to get to that. So we see people hanging in, bringing pigs in to slaughter and stuff like that. It was so funny because it was a very small thing that bothered me is when the guy walks in with a pig. Like, you assume this guy probably comes in with a dead pig to this butcher's shop. And he's probably a regular customer. And the guy walking him in says, "Hey, put it over here." It's like, oh, okay. Like, he never fucking put pork in there? Unless that's a new guy. That's something that's very stupid that bothered me. She collapses, dies in a pretty, stylistically cool way. She chokes on her blood and then falls into this small puddle that grows, and she dies.
Poor lady.
We're introduced to the rest of this family, which is led by a very... He does not look like... I remembered him from Bill Sage playing Frank Parker, and he has his two daughters.
Yo, I couldn't place him. I feel like I know him.
I know him because of American Psycho. He was one of Patrick Bateman's friends, the guy with the glasses. If you saw, if you remember him, there's one guy in that movie that wears glasses, and you're like, okay, I know that guy. But he's excellent in this film.
Is he one of the business card guys?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
But he's a really fucking good actor. And just alone, there's one scene where they have a little brother with them, these two girls. And the brother is, playing with dirt, and the boy tries to put dirt in his mouth, and the father, scolds him for it. And you can tell, I don't think anybody knew that scene was going to happen, because he scared the shit out of that kid, unless that kid's the best actor, which he's not.
Well, apparently they kept the kid in the dark about what it was about.
Well, that's probably for the best.
Yeah.
They definitely kept the kid in the dark for that scene, because that kid looked like he shit his pants. Julia Garner, who plays Rose Parker, she's the one with the shorter hair. She's really good in this series called Ozark on Netflix.
Right.
Really good. I believe she just might have won an award for it. I can't be too sure. And Amber Childers, who plays Iris, who's the older of the two.
Yo, she looks like the girl from
Star Trek, right?
No, I was thinking Nightmare on Elm Street. She's like
oh yeah,
from the third one. She's like the main girl, that goes to the mental asylum.
Patricia Arquette, you mean?
Yeah. She looks like Patricia Arquette, I guess.
She looks just like you guys talk about her character Iris for a second while I look up who she is.
I like that her name is an eye piece. It's part of an eye. I really like that aspect. That's my favorite aspect.
Can you talk about Iris, please?
Yeah.
Iris is the oldest daughter of the family. She's the one that has to sort of take over her mother's role when she dies.
But her name is named after an eye, Thea.
She puts on a very tough exterior, but realistically, she's also terrified of what they're being asked to do.
True.
Yeah.
That's a really good insight, but not as good as mine.
Mm-hmm.
She looks exactly like the blonde actress. What is Alice Eve? I don't know if you've ever seen who Alice Eve is. She's a British actress.
God, we're really going on a...
Yeah, you're going on some tangents
Now
here.
I gotta Google it.
You have to look up
She
Alice
does
Eve.
not look
played,
like this.
She played she
Sure.
played Typhoid Mary. It's a blonde, blue-eyed girl. All right,
What, are they all the same? What are you, a German?
But anyway,
They do.
So she plays and she has a guy who's sweet on her, who was the guy from fucking. I didn't even recognize him. I knew him from somewhere, but he was the guy from that Overlord. You know the guy.
Oh, also Michael
yeah.
Parks was in this. He was the doctor.
That's
I know.
I didn't know that guy was the son of Kurt Russell. It's like I was like, oh yeah.
Who's the son of Kurt
All
Russell?
I can think when I see Michael
guy
Parks
from
now is
Overlord.
Tusk.
Oh, okay.
And no, Michael.
Yeah,
Parks is the
Tusk.
son of Kurt Russell.
And also,
Anyway.
also Kill Bill and a few other movies.
Michael Parks is so good in Kill Bill 2
Oh
that
yeah.
I did not realize that he wasn't actually a Latino guy. That's how good he was. He's
He's
such
the
a
pimp
good fucking
guy.
actor, and he is no longer in this world, but he's one of the best actors. Like seriously, one of the greatest actors that I've ever seen in film. And unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. But he's good in this, and is I don't know, Thea, your thoughts on this film?
It was interesting. I was. I know we don't want to talk about the original movie too
that's
much,
fine. We can pepper
but
it in. Go ahead.
No, yeah. Tell us.
it
Tell us
was
about it,
intriguing
Thea.
that
We're
they-
all interested.
they sort of gender swapped things. So like in
They did,
in the
right.
in this one the mother dies, and the other one the father dies, and then it's sort of. I think the original.
Oh,
if
the
I can
mom is the
remember,
bad
was centered
guy in
more
the,
around the sons than it was around the other kids.
So the mom
there
is
were
leading
there are two
the.
older sons.
Sorry.
There are two older sons and one older daughter. It's not like
Right.
two older daughters and one small boy in this.
Yeah, so they basically focused on like the daughters having to take over a dirty job, essentially.
Yeah, there are completely different family dynamics within both films, and I think you see a lot more in the original compared to this. This one, everybody's a little bit more sad and terrified of their father, while the other film is more pro-family dynamics into it, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
What, like they're
Well,
close
and I think-
in the Mexican one?
Well, you got to see the movie, Danny.
You have to see it.
But,
But I think it was interesting. I think on that level alone, I get why people were sort of giving it positive feedback, because it's nice to see an American remake, like an English language remake of a foreign film that isn't just we took that and did literally the same thing but just in our language.
Yeah.
It's
see
like
what you mean.
they tried to do a thing that was sort of supplanted in American culture and with a different dynamic and investigating different pieces of that, which was kind of interesting.
Look at how
They
fancy.
settled, instead of a more sort of intimate look at a family dynamic, though, in this, it does have that, but it's more of a shell of it, and it relies more on a criminal thriller type of movie.
Right.
And it eventually becomes a fucking slasher movie. at
And like
the
almost a
end.
revenge thing.
So wait,
plot
yeah, I mean,
going
it's
on,
like-
yeah.
But you would both agree that the Mexican one is way better?
I mean,
think so.
it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I
It's just-
remember
it's probably
quite
just a
enjoying
completely
it.
different movie, but this
Because this
film,
was like so slow and just
It is
kind of
slow.
like depressing. And then like after
Yeah.
like finally the last 15 minutes, it's like, oh, finally, like they're doing something.
Yeah, it's
The thing
very
is,
bleak.
it's a very beautiful looking film. It looks
Yeah.
good. Everything about it looks good.
yeah,
It's
the
just that
actors
to
are
me-
all great. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, to me,
They're
it's
all
just that
so
the movie
sad.
rings the movie rings very hollow, and it's not just comparing it to the original. This is just my assessment when I just saw it.
It could have been a
And I
short
was
film.
like, yeah, it really could have. I mean,
Yeah.
like there were the interactions between the family is just the younger daughter, feeling bad about the older sister, saying we got to get out of here, we won't do this next year, and then the father sort of walking around like some fucking unkillable character in Resident Evil. Like you got to avoid him in the house or something. He's just walking around.
Yeah.
He's very good though. He's actually a very intimidating, good actor.
Yeah.
And then
He
we
is.
have the side story of
I wish he
Michael
was my
Parks.
dad.
And then Michael Parks' daughter missing, so he puts two and two. And I was very happy that they introduced Kuru to this, because the only time I've ever heard of that was in the second season of Scream Queens, the really awful season, which to a great
They kind
fucking
of
first season.
they get into it in Book of Eli, but they don't call it what it
Okay.
is.
Right.
What do they call it? Flu?
They just say they just show that weird family that they go to shaking, and he's like, he says, "Oh, they're cannibals," and that's how he could tell they're
That's what
cannibals.
happens.
It's bizarre that actually exists. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like I understand that because people have
I mean, don't get me
resorts of
wrong. The
cannibalism.
second there's food shortage due to climate change, even if it's not even a severe food shortage, just there's not
Gotta
an
eat
apple.
what you gotta eat.
Like if there weren't apples anymore, I would start eating people.
But I had
Sure.
heard about Kuru during Scream Queens, and they said, oh, you get basically a degenerative brain disorder after you eat human flesh. Because I think you're not supposed to eat the brains of people. I think that's what the whole point is. But in here, they sort of just, instead of, usually they would do
Why
a
does it work
internet
so well for
search.
zombies in Return of the Living Dead? I mean,
Because I
they
think it's-
specifically say brains. Like, they want only the brain.
Because they already kind of shake, you know?
Because I think they feel their body's rotting, so the brain's supposed to supplant that or something like that. Anyway,
Okay.
but I think the Kuru disease here, it's funny how they did it with basically books.
I like
and
how it gave me a real answer.
And they it followed no, I think remember the zombie that's cut in half and she starts talking about it that makes the pain go away.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah, you're
Oh,
right,
yeah.
actually.
But in this it was so funny how the newspaper search and the book searches by Michael Park's character is something you would see in an internet search nowadays, and I like that they did that so well. Michael Park's character, what'd you feel about him?
Well, you could go Thea.
He was okay. Like, I mean, I didn't really care about him that much.
Deep
Like,
movie.
well, it just didn't give you much to go on. It was just kind of like, yeah, his daughter's missing and he found a bone and now he's tracking it down. I'm like, it's pretty obvious what's going on.
I mean, it's
very
obvious to
early
us, not to him.
But even like to them, I'm like, it's.
I mean, you don't
So
want
it
to.
takes
You don't want to
very
think
little
that.
to figure it out,
You
it
don't want to
feels
think
like.
that some guy you've known for 20 years just ate your daughter.
So the body.
Yeah, I don't know.
I like
so
how
the
I just-
body.
I guess I just didn't care about his story.
I love him
Essentially,
though.
if it
He's
was-
such a good actor.
I love him. Me
At
too.
least I think that's something that T.I. would agree with. Did you guys hear about what happened with T.I., the rapper?
I'm
what
not
he does?
Did he
listening.
eat someone?
No.
T.I.
Not getting into it.
Can I talk about
Wait,
it?
yeah, no, tell me. I'm
ahead.
curious. What?
Go ahead, Thea. Plug your ears.
No.
See, because you made it eating a daughter joke. That plug your ears, Thea. T.I. takes his 18-year-old daughters takes his 18-year-old daughter to the fucking gynecologist to make sure that she still has her hymen intact.
Oh, come
and he has
on.
her sign a waiver to do that because he feels differently, even though his son is 15 years old and has sex constantly. He's still checking on his daughter because he feels it's different.
Which also is not how a hymen is supposed to work.
Of course not.
It should not tear. It should not tear.
She literally her knees must be fused together if that fucking hymen is together. But that is like that. See, that's.
And
a
let me
little
guess,
run
all
for
his
the
lyrics are about like fucking chicks and stuff, right?
Literally.
The
Anyway,
fuck is
that was a
wrong
fun
with this
story.
guy?
But
What a
anyway,
piece of
How did you
shit.
find? How did that come to light? How did we find this out?
He did a
was just
whole
on the
interview
news.
about it.
He was on a
He admitted
woman-led
it?
podcast and brought that
Yeah,
up.
he did a whole interview.
Was he
about
laughing
it, and
at
he was
least,
talking
or
so
was
much
he,
shit.
like, not-
No, he's
They were-
very serious about it.
The women hosts were like laughing about it because they thought it was a joke, and then he.
Jesus Christ!
That guy's that's like the creepiest creepy thing.
You would see him
So
like with the
fucking
shovel,
weird.
like the scene in this movie.
Oh god.
Anyway, so did you care about any character in this film, Thea?
The younger daughter, I guess. The older daughter, I kind of cared about.
It's
I don't
weird
get-
because
did
that
she get like
actress.
shot in the head and survived?
No, I think it grazes her head.
Okay.
Just grazed her.
That came out of nowhere. It's like, no, daddy, don't! And then she just like jumped
Yeah.
in the way like fucking Superwoman or something. It's so phony.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, listen, I didn't give a flying fuck about that movie. It looked
Did you care about
pretty.
anybody?
I don't know. I cared about the son. I felt
Little
bad
boy?
for him because I was like, you're gonna be so fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they get to drive off to happiness, I guess.
Let me ask you this: does the Mexican version have a flashback to like family ancestors doing this?
No, well, so far
don't
I haven't seen
think
that.
so.
I think the ritual over there is more of a luck ritual, I guess.
Okay.
I'm guessing. So I guess they eat the body to like have luck for fortune and stuff like that. Because
Right.
in
Well, we've
the
all
mother
done
in this
that.
one, since the mother in this one is more of the homemaker and she cooks and everything for them, they sort of relied on her in that aspect.
Yeah.
But the father obviously was running, I guess, a trailer park business or something like that. With Larry Fessenden, you recognize him, Danny? He was there again.
Oh, is that him? I didn't even put that together. Okay.
Because in the Mexican film, the father's a watchmaker, and that's the only way they make their income. So I guess it's a whole luck thing with them. Anyway, so with this, what are aspects that you thought strongly should have been fixed with this film?
There should have been like anything happening in the first hour and a half.
Or let's say, what's the most positive aspect of the film that you can say? Thea.
I think they had a really cool angle on it if they had had a little bit more going on. Like, it was cool that the sort of backdrop of it was like there's a flood going on, so that sort of explains away why people aren't really investigating it quickly.
Right, and we see that
we have a lot of shit going on.
We see that floater, that body, in the middle of the movie, and I was like, oh, well, she's not eaten, so obviously she must have just been an accident from one of the floods or something like that. Danny, so what did you think positively about this film?
I mean, I definitely liked the payoff at the end. That was a fun... I was eating Indian food, and I was just like, I'm still eating as it's happening, but I'm just like, ooh, this is like I was squinting through my face to see it. Like, it was pretty brutal.
I thought it was a little weird to just show that super gory religious explanation of why they do what they do. I don't think they should have done that, honestly. Like, I get seeing gore in the film for no reason, whatever, that's fine. That actually, like, woke me up through this film, but it seemed like a cheap, like, see, this is why they're eating people. This is why. Instead of, like, if they would have just done it anyway, but like, man, these motherfuckers are nuts. And you know what my same process is? Man, these motherfuckers are nuts. So seeing it or not seeing it
but they kind of implied it's going to carry on through the daughters.
Yeah, but I think what they... Yeah, obviously that's what it is. At the end, yes. I'm talking about the middle when they have the... they're
the
reading
flashback.
The book.
I know.
Yeah, because the flashback obviously is put there just to put a body count in the movie. To make it be, like, shocking or something, which is not. It's just sort of like, who gives a fuck?
Honestly, this could have easily have been a 40-minute short film.
Yeah, it's weird, and it's just the way... Because it's super stylized, too. And when you watch the other film, it's more of, like, sort of traditional Mexican, drama films, that the ones that sort of win Oscars.
Right.
Those sort of, like, Amores Perros or whatever sort of... Really, like, what's that later? The one that just came out, which is whatever. They're all styled. They're stylized in a way that it doesn't feel like space, fucking weird fantasy to it. And in this one, it is not weird fantasy, but it is very slick, like fucking Michael Bay or something like that. Which is not a problem, but you gotta.
Well, if it was Michael Bay, there would have been an explosion when they bit the dad.
Hey, you tell me you wouldn't want Michael Bay explosions in this?
No, that would have been great, actually.
It would have been great. But every time they eat a person, an explosion.
When the dad hits the kid with the shovel, like, you just see fire shooting out of him.
His eyes hit the screen.
And then, like, his body transforms and runs away.
So what was the point of the movie for you guys? What do you think is the point, or what are they trying to convey with this film? Or is it just like, hey, it's a cannibal film?
I didn't really see, a message. Did you see a message, Thea?
No, I think they just wanted to do sort of a different take, like a more American take on the original story. And I actually didn't mind the backstory because it was kind of like that traditional, like, American tale of, like, the family that was trying to get through the mountains basically and got snowed in and had to eat each other, like that. But then having a sort of like a book for, like, a religion form around that practice was kind of interesting.
The Donner Party you're talking about, right?
Yeah. I thought that was an interesting concept.
Did it
but
change
I don't think the execution was great.
Did it change for you as a film because it had female leads to it and they were sort of the focus of it?
Sexist.
I think it was an interesting choice. I don't think they did the best thing with it because, like, there were confusing motivations. Like, I don't really understand why she suddenly started banging him in the middle of the graveyard. Like, why wouldn't you just, like, run away with him or get him to help you?
I think she knew that the father was coming. That's why.
Maybe?
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
That guy was coming.
I mean, we knew he was... Oh, that's funny. I mean, we knew he was going because we heard him, like, light a match or something. We see the younger daughter, and then I think the daughter was just doing that to sort of keep him preoccupied. That's more than keeping someone preoccupied, though. But
she was originally intending to kill him, but then she...
Oh, she gave into it, you think?
Well, she brought a knife, didn't she?
I don't know. Yeah, but she didn't... Then she didn't
because I was expecting her to kill him also, but then she didn't.
Yeah.
Do you know how many times I've had to distract people like that? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought it was okay. I thought The issue is I saw the original version after it, so it's sort of like oof,
Right.
you know what I mean. Then I saw a real gulf.
Well, I'm
You're
gonna
like, oh
watch.
God, it's
I'm gonna
worse
watch
now.
the original now.
As a
and-
movie itself, I wasn't overwhelmed. I wasn't even whelmed. I thought it was just okay, but it was sort of in line with this director. If I had only seen his other film, the one that's on Netflix, Under the Moon or whatever it's called,
Right.
and it's sort of these films that have great grand ideas with a lot of potential to it. I don't know if this film necessarily has great grand ideas. It's more of an intimate type of film, but there's something definitely missing that's like not being conveyed in the film. There's not enough.
Right.
Even though the movie's filled with characters, there's not enough character moments for me. It just becomes
Yeah.
some
I
sort
think
of weird
it's.
procedural.
I feel like it's because the characters, like, he hasn't really tracked them. Like, they seem to do just sort of whatever, and they'll change their motivations and their character traits suddenly.
Yeah, it's just,
I don't know.
It's
yeah.
just to move the plot along. It's not really to sort of
Yeah.
examine.
Doesn't serve
or-
character.
Yeah, but there is
Right.
no plot for like the first.
It's supposed to be a race against time, I guess, which the
Yeah.
original one conveys much better because there's a theme of clocks throughout.
I
that whole
didn't
film.
feel any race at all.
Well,
I
just because
mean-
they're going day by day.
I
It
felt.
is. It's set in motion that somebody is going to be looking for these people.
I just.
Yeah.
There's people
I
missing.
didn't get any sense of urgency. I got a sense of like, wow, like, just do something already.
Well, I mean, the urgency was for me for the movie to fucking finish.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm
Mhm.
saying.
That's
like,
right.
It wasn't like a terrible movie by any means. It was just like, I don't know.
Slow. Just slow.
I think it could have been a lot darker.
I
film,
like slow
obviously.
movies too. I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I do too. I think what it is that there's a false darkness and a false like morbidity to this film. Like you can see that there's so much sheen to it that they're like, oh look, we're dark. This is disturbing. It's like no, I've seen much disturbing films that are,
Yeah.
you know, like I just saw The Nightingale, and that's not. That's like I consider that sort of a revenge horror film,
Right.
but it's horror because of other shit that happens. It's
Is that
much
worth
darker than-
watching?
We're gonna do that in December, but that's a much darker film than this can be, and that deals a lot with a lot of issues like the original does, and this film doesn't. It could look at white poverty in America or something.
Yeah.
That's not
Seriously,
really
white
like that.
power.
Like Roseanne, does that. There's obviously
She does both.
there's a lot of poverty. There's a lot of poverty in ethnic states like that, and this film could have done some sort of weird thing about white poverty and
It
showing
did a
that
little
aspect,
bit.
Like, it did, but it still
It
feels
thought
like
it did.
It did.
Right,
I got the idea they were poor.
it's about the same as like District 9 being about apartheid. It's like that
Still
sort
never
of.
saw that one.
That's a great film. But anyway,
It is.
so this is like
Well, let's
it's
just
like a whatever.
let's just rate it.
Thea,
Yeah,
what's your
let's just do
rating
it.
for this movie?
I'm gonna give it 6 out of 10. Your dad slicing the back of your could-be boyfriend's head while he's
You
inside
asshole.
of you.
You took my
That's
thing.
graphic.
Well, it was.
See, the father could have been inside the boyfriend while the boyfriend was inside the daughter. It's very nice. It was some sort of weird.
That's a Donner
threesome.
party for 3.
So, I give this movie a 5.5 out of 10. Finding out that your daughter was a Happy Meal for the family down the road.
Teehee.
Okay. I'm gonna
It's
go
my
with a
ABC
5.
Channel 7 humor.
I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10 because it had
Wow!
it had good acting.
Usually, Danny
Damn.
does great ratings for horrible movies that he picks, and he does the opposite.
I
this
think we
time.
convinced him. No, he just came in.
It
thinking
has
was
good
terrible.
acting.
No,
It's
he seemed like he was bored out of it.
It's
so.
filmed
Yeah.
well, but it was just a bore fest. But I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10.
That's what
Watching
they should call it.
watching your
Bore
two
fest. Bore
sisters eat your dad.
Oh, yeah.
I thought they were going to
Jokes.
reveal the little kid eating him, too.
Well, he
Yeah.
went
I'm
under the
disappointed.
table,
Maybe
so I
he-
thought he was
maybe
going
he
for
was
the
like a-
sweetmeats or something.
You know, like a little
Yeah.
dog when they wait under the table. Maybe like he was
For
eating
scraps.
the treats. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Thea. So that's it for this film. Thea, what's the final word?
Wig.
Danny, what's the final word?
Rodman, Dennis.
The horror deconstruction.